And good afternoon and good afternoon. I'm so used to saying good morning, good afternoon because of the time zones, but now it's good afternoon and maybe good evening. Yes, I'm not wearing a tie today. I was out delivering an instrument to one of our customers this morning, and this is my delivering clothes, which is basically the same thing, less a tie. So anyway, I'm going to play two songs to start off. I had one song intended, but I want to play two because apparently there was someone's birthday. And then you can tell me how it sounds, and then I'll play the other song for you. How's that? Gene Grings. Did I pronounce that right, Gene? If you're still there, I hope you are. Here we go. Thank you, thank you. Well, hopefully no clipping there, no clipping. That sounded okay? All
Sounds
right.
okay.
If it's loud, you can turn it down. If it's clipping, staticking, distorting, then let me know. All
No,
right,
it's
what I
good.
really, what's that?
It's good.
Okay. All right, so I've got Joni and Tommy, and I've got two Zoom police officers on here, so we don't get any Zoom crashers. We had a Zoom crashing experience a couple weeks ago. It was not pleasant. Some people thought it was funny, but I heard for some others disturbing. But I have a song up here. Tommy, are you there? You can unmute
I
yourself.
am.
This is for you, Tommy.
Oh no.
So I had a songbook out that we were looking at earlier, and he was scanning at the table of contents, and it said that I should play such and such style for the song "Fly Me to the Moon," and the
Oh
style is
yeah.
called jazz guitar. And he was like, uh, "Jazz guitar, really?" And I said, "Yeah." So I'm going to do it now. Let me hold on. I'm going to load. What I'm going to do, folks, is actually, let me tell you what I'm doing before I do it. You know, last week, I we touched on loading presets and loading song presets. Now this USB that I'm using happens to have both, but if I had just the songs, which this is recorded, I have a bunch of songs recorded in this USB, and I want the setups for those. If you remember, I mentioned that you can do load song presets. So you do that by touching the USB function on the screen. And what shows up is you got load presets, save presets, all the other things you can do to load or save onto the USB. You have load presets and song presets. And I'm not going to do a whole class on this, but I'm going to do a real quick recap. And here's the main difference. When you have a USB that has presets on it, obviously you use load presets. They could be presets that we put on there for you, or I send out, or you're at the store and you stuck it in the organ and you saved them onto however you got them, sometimes they're there. And then there's sometimes that there's people that have USBs that have song recordings on them. But we didn't put the presets on there. And if you play back a recording of that song and you notice to whoever recorded it on the instrument, if you see like the A or the B or whatever letter it is, pay attention to what letter, because sometimes I'll have songs that I play and I load A, B, C, and D, and E, and my C bank might be my patriotic, and the B bank might be for a ballad, and so forth. So if you notice that, if you look at the organ while it's playing, if the A bank or the B, whatever bank is lit up, and you see the presets moving as that recording is playing. So for example, if I put the song here, I'll play the song, the first few measures. I'll go to Fly Me to the Moon. I forgot what song number it was. There it is. Oh, Fly Me. And I'll just push play. So on this song, I'm glad I brought this up because I would have done this. 2, 3. I would have done this and not pushed the right selection. So I'm actually glad I'm going through this. So here's what I'm noticing. C, no number is lit, but that means 0. So he's got presets. In this case, the C bank is being used for his recording. I'll let it play a little bit. And see if I see another number being used. Number 1. Okay, and I'm going to stop it right there. So in this case, I'm going to do the load song presets. And I'm going to find the song, Fly Me to the Moon. And I'm going to hit all. And I'm going to touch the C bank. And when I go there, then I see all of the setups that were used for that song. In fact, it even says Fly Me to the Moon at the top. So that's what load song presets. So I'm going to play Fly Me to the Moon using a jazz guitar. Okay. Intro, please. Actually. It almost stumped me a little bit because when I looked at the song, it actually says 3/4. Fly Me to the Moon is actually written in 3/4, and I played a 4/4, so you got to kind of just feel it. But it actually worked perfectly for that. So that was the advantage of using load song presets in this case. I played it first, which I'm glad I did, because normally my go-tos when I load a song preset, I instantly automatically think, oh, that's on bank A, which a lot of us do. In this case, it wasn't. So I have that posted up on the socials. So if you want to go watch that class. What I want to touch on is a couple of things today. One is I want to touch a little bit on saving presets. I've done this before, but way back sometime. And I want to touch on it again, and I'm going to post the notes. I put them on Patreon. I'll send them out if you need it. Email me, whatever you need to do. But what I'm going to recommend is that try to get in the habit of learning to save presets if you aren't already, okay? Because once you get it down a few times, do it a few times, it really comes in handy, all right? And we learn by repetition. So let me do this. I'm going to screen share. Did I just hit the wrong button on my thing here? Give me a second here, folks. Oops. Oh, what am I doing here? Ta-da. Bear with me. Okay.
Okay.
I just pushed the wrong button on the computer. You ever do that? Put the wrong button on your computer?
Never.
Hmm? You couldn't see me? No, it's because my camera's over there, my computer. So let me put this up here. You want to take a picture with your phone, or I'll leave it up there for a minute, maybe longer. All right. So saving presets to me is extremely important, and sometimes for some it takes a little bit of effort at first, but we learn by repetition. Let me get it to where it's the whole screen. Can that be seen on your screen there? So here's a classic example. What I'm going to do is put these presets to factory, and I do that. If you see that there, I go to reset. You can do a total reset, or you can reset presets. Okay? There you go. So basically from the factory now, A1, your bank presets, your A bank is good 10, 11 great Lowrey organ sounds. Now, by the way, what I'm doing right now pertains to A series models, SU series models, EY and the EX, anybody has a touchscreen model out there that has this. So everything I'm saying right now is going to pertain to the same. I will try to do a good job at, if it's a different model, letting you know when it's a little bit different, okay? Maybe sometimes it's the wording. So right now, the A bank, the Lowrey, are Lowrey organ sounds. The B bank has what we classify as like great Hammond type sounds, organ sounds. The C bank has got, this is all from the factory, great church organ, pipe organ sounds, and they go from soft to full on those, by the way. So as you start with 1, 2, and 3, and 4, there's the softer, and as you progress, they get fuller. The D bank I like to call the symphonic sounds, sounds you commonly found in an orchestra, but it does have a great grand piano in there, and you have some great cellos and violins and French horns and symphony strings. And then E bank they refer to as the novelty, and I call them the funny sounds. I call them the Spike Jones category, even though they're not. Spike Jones was known for all the funny noises. That's what's in the factory. Now, you have the ability, if you want, to save up to each category preset or bank preset, A, B, C, D, and E, can hold 10 if you have the SU series. Okay? If you have an A series or an E or EX, EY, you have 11, okay, that you can save on each bank. A0 is considered a number. So starting on the Prestige or the A technology, they added a 0, 1 in there. If you have the SU, just remember you can't save a 0, but you do have A1 through 10, B1 through 10, etc. Okay? Now, I'm going to flash this back up on the screen in a bit. But basically, what you do is you set up the organ, you're playing along, and we suggest experiment. Try different sounds, try different presets. Just remember this. Remember this. You can save on a preset anything that the organ has. There's a common misperception that the only thing you save is what you've created. In other words, my thing just do fireworks back there? Did you see that? How did I do that?
Yes, it did.
Now I want to know how I did it again. I think the camera does something when you do certain motions. Like if I do that, it might give you a thumb. Oh. Oh, there we go. Okay, I don't know how that's happening, but I digress. What was I saying? Oh, okay. This is going to be fun. So that you create your own. Now, yes, a lot of times I like to start from scratch and do all these changes, and then I save my work because Lord knows if you don't do it, you turn the organ off by accident. Whoa! Or like what used to happen to me here a lot is I'd have a couple presets saved or something, and I walk away, and then someone else walks over, and then they reset it or save their own stuff, and then you're goofed. So saving presets onto the organ and to the US to me is very valuable. And here's what I suggest. Before you do anything, get a USB and just say to yourself, I don't care what happens on this USB. I don't care if I delete stuff, accidentally put stuff under and like, I have to erase it, do whatever. Don't take a USB that you have already. Like some of you have the Holiday Music Camp USB, or some of you have other USBs. You can add to those, but don't take one of those and use that as your experimental USB. Okay? Find one that you can experiment with. You don't care what's going to happen with that. Now, the next question I'm going to get is, what kind of USBs work? And I'm going to tell you, over the years, USBs have been hit and miss with Lowrey organs, and depending on the series. I'm going to be using a SanDisk. That's S as in Sam, A-N-D-I-S-K, I believe. Okay? I've had pretty good luck with those. You may find yourself finding good deals. You may find yourself getting good deals online with some USBs, which I have found. I found some China ones that work, but they only work when I put it from the computer. But when I go put it in the organ and try to add and delete stuff and do stuff, it won't work. So sometimes it's a hit and miss. When you find one that works, sometimes you'll find the same brand and one will work and one won't. That's common. But SanDisk I'm going to use today, okay? Now, so back to what I was saying. If you can create your own, or sometimes what I'll do is I'll just put on a rhythm that I like. And I'll just go in here and let me just touch. Let's see, I'm not in the mood for that one. Let's see something I'm in the mood for here. What am I? Oh, okay, got swing. Okay, and what most of us do is we put on rhythm preset. Okay, which is fine. So I've got rhythm preset on, and I use my presets. A lot of times what happens, I'll get to a preset that I really like. Okay, you can save that to an A bank or change it and save it. So don't get caught up in I have to just create stuff. So in this case, I'll just use this as a starting point, and I'm just going to play a little bit. Okay, I don't know if you noticed, but I went back. I wasn't in the mood for scat vocals. I like them. And I went up here. I went, oh, I paused there, didn't I? I like that. I like that jazz guitar. Now listen to the band. I'm going to change the band a little bit. Doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm just making changes. I'm going to take off my lower sound. So I made a few changes. Now, what do I do, folks? Save the preset. Okay? How do I save it? First, now, I don't know. I know some of you know this, some of you don't, so I can't tell. So I'm just going to pretend that none of you know this. All right? In order to get it on the USB, you must save it onto the organ first. You can't just take a USB, and I'm going to take a blank one here. You can't just put it in there and mind control it, tell it to go on the USB. It has to go on the organ first, and if you like what you did, then you save it on the USB. Now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the USB in, and I'll get it ready. And you don't need actually, I'm not going to even put it in right now. You do not need the USB in the organ while you're saving presets to the organ. Okay? That's also another common misunderstanding. Okay? So right now, I'm just saving it to the organ. So let me put that back up for you in case you're writing. Take your phone out, take a picture. I post it on Patreon. If you want it emailed to you, I can email it to you. Let me just find, where did it go? There. Tell me if I got the right thing up there. Is that right? So you'll notice that on the top part it says saving presets onto the organ. Set up the way you want it first, and then you press memorize. Okay? I'll do that in a minute and then let you see what's happening on the screen. So you're going to press memorize and you're going to press a letter. You can save it onto any bank. Most commonly, most people have a tendency to just choosing A because it's just natural. And then you press a number, and then on the screen you'll have the option to save with or without a style, and I'll tell you what the major difference is in that and why. And then choose to save it with or without a transpose. And then once you get to that point, whatever you've decided, you have to confirm it by pressing memorize again. I've had a lot of students over the years that I met. Something's wrong with the organ because they're doing everything like they're supposed to, and it's not saving it. And I have them come in and I have them show me, and they always miss, not always, but a lot of times they miss that last step. They list the last memorize button. Okay? Now I'm going to take this off the screen, and I'm going to repeat what it says there. Okay? So, Mr. Tommy, are you in the background there? Tommy? Daniel? I think they're in there. Here they come. I'm going to email this document. When you get it, just print it out for me. Okay? The one that I had on the screen. Okay, so the first thing I do is I like whatever I had on, and I'm going to just save it on A. Now, I have a tendency of putting it on 1 first, not 0, because a lot of times when I go back and I put that preset and I forgot 0's on, and I push it and everything changes on me. So I always, you can do it however you want. So here, can you see that okay? Is that cut off there? Let me put my speaker view and take a look and see. Okay. I'm going to go up just an inch or two. Again, this is going to be the same. On all the models that I mentioned. Okay? So, first thing I'm going to do is press memorize. I got the organ set up the way I want it, so I'm going to press memorize. And it'll ask you, where are you on it? What are you doing? Memorizing to where? And I pick a letter, A, B, C, D, or E. In this case, I'm just going to start with A. Okay? Thank you. And then I'm going to push a number. Now, you'll notice in this case, it defaults to 0. If you have an A series model or the EX, EY, it's going to always default to 0. You can leave it there if you want to start. If you have the SU series, you'll have to select a number. So more than likely, I can't remember, it may not have that 0 pop up. But needless to say, I'm going to just start with 1. That'll work on all of the models. Okay? So now, currently I'm going to save this setup to A number 1. Now I have 2 questions here. They don't really ask them a question, but they say, do I want to save it with a style or not, or with a transpose? And the default, it's always going to say no. If I leave it on the no position for this, all the organ will do is save whatever sounds I have on the upper and the lower keyboard, and that's it. It won't save the rhythm, the tempo, or anything like that. Okay? It'll save the balances, by the way. So if I have this guitar at 100% and something down here at 30%, it'll save the volumes. It doesn't save just the sounds. But it'll save basically how the organ's set up, but not the rhythm. Why would you do that? I know you're thinking it. Why would I do it that way? You may like a certain sound. Okay, this and okay, you may like those sounds, and you might find yourself saying, you know, I like to use that sound with other rhythms. Okay? That's why you would save it like that. So I'm going to do it both ways. Okay? So the first way I'm going to do it on A1 is without a style. And so that means I got to put this back to no. It must change if I hit notes. Yeah. Yeah. So keep that in mind. I just reminded myself of something. If I hit the note down here, it keeps changing on me. Or you could just touch it. Now, the transpose. This is a common potential mistake that students make. Because they may say, I want to make sure that it's in the transpose that I have it. I don't always save it with the transpose. Sometimes I have settings that I use, and when I play, I like to choose the key that I want to play it. Sometimes I'll take a song and transpose it down to A. Sometimes I'll transpose it down to B. That same song. Sometimes I just don't change it at all. If you like to manually change your transpose, give you that flexibility, then leave that at no. If I'm saving this setup like this without a style, and I'm going to use this sound for other rhythms, I'm probably going to leave it on no, because if you use it for another song or another rhythm, and you go to push it, it's going to jump to that key automatically, and it kind of sounds weird when it does that. The only time that I save it here is if there's a specific song that I'm playing with a specific key every time, and I know when I play that song, and I have several that I've done in my Song of the Month, where I actually start in one key, and as I go, when I get to another preset, I want it to change the transpose for me so I don't have to remember to do that. And when I push the preset, it's that way. Those are instances that I like doing that. The other 70% of the time or 80% of the time or more, I just leave it at no, and I choose that option. If you find yourself going, every time I put on this sound, I have to remember to go to transpose, that's when you use it, okay? So right now, I'm going to save this sound, this top keyboard sound, what's here, whatever's programmed in the left hand, onto the organ. And I've got A1. I don't want the transpose with the style, and don't want it with the style, and I don't want the transpose. And what's the last thing you have to do? Zoomlanders, press. How do I do it? This is where you can unmute yourself. Thank you. You press memorize. When you do that, it says memorize to A1. You have to kind of catch it because it does say it on the screen. The word just changes, okay? So that's one preset. Now I'm going to take the exact same setup and I'm going to memorize it to B. So memorize B1. This time I'm going to save it with a style. I don't really care if I have the transpose or not. I'm going to leave it like that. Same exact thing, but I'm going to push memorize. So anytime that I push B1, no matter what rhythm I have on, it's going to always set up that rhythm. So let's say I go about my business and I start putting other rhythms on and I'm playing along and I've got, that's Oscar swing, let me put on whatever this is. Mood stream, I'm playing a waltz, I'm playing along. And I'm playing, I play, and I play, and I go, you know what? I want that one setup that I had. I push B1, and it automatically puts the sounds on, and it even puts on the rhythm style that I had on. Okay? Now, let's say I go again about my business, and I put on another rhythm here, whatever this is. Oh, the way we were. Put on rhythm preset. And you know what? Let me put on, I saw something over here. Let's see, was it Got Swing or no, it was Oscar Swing? Actually, here we go. Cabaret. I'm going to play that. I'm going to use the rhythm preset. I'll turn down a little bit. Now, I like that. I'm playing along. But now I want the preset that I saved without the rhythm style that was on E1. Now watch. A1. So I was able to use that preset with another rhythm without the rhythm changing. Another reason for saving it with a style, there's a couple others. One is more common than the other. And this may confuse you on the second one, but the first one is a little more kind of obvious. A lot of times, many of us, and I hope you do too, we put on a rhythm, we're playing along, we have a sound, we put on a drum variation, an alter style, or something like that, and we change the band. Well, when you do those kinds of changes, you want to save it with a style. Okay? So that's where those come handy. Now here's one that might get you thinking a little bit. I'm going to try to explain this so it's not confusing. So right now I have a rhythm on. Okay? A lot of times there's songs that I play, I start with a rhythm. And I'm playing along. And then halfway through the song, the rhythm is off and I play it manually. Now manually could be done chords, pedals, or one finger, doesn't matter. Okay? In fact, I have a USB that I'm going to grab to explain that in a minute. Okay? And so in other words, when I did the patriotic medley in the Song of the Month, what I did is I started off with a rhythm, and then I went from a soft and easy to a march, and then I can't remember where. I'll have to put it up there. Somewhere in the line, in the middle of that, the rhythm was off, but I was still playing. So even though that preset did not have a rhythm on it, okay, pay very close attention to this. This might be confusing at first. When I jumped to that preset, what I wanted was the organ to be set up the way I had it, without a rhythm. I wanted the rhythm to shut off everything. I wanted it to be a certain sound. In that case, I actually saved that preset with a style. With style. Now let me go back to the screen here. See, it says with style. So the most common and obvious thing here is yes. When you save it with a style, you typically think I'm saving it with one of the rhythms, which is common. But what it's also telling you is this. If I don't have a rhythm on, let's say let me put on this. Oops, let me turn that off for a second. Let me put this on here. Okay, I want that sound. I don't want a rhythm on, okay? So I'm going to push memorize, C, and I want it on 1. Now I don't have a rhythm on, but I want to save that sound with a style on preset 1, even though I don't want a style. And here's why. Let me see if I can help clarify this. What it's saying is, do you want to save the way the style panel is? So if I have a rhythm on and I want it to come up that way, I'm going to say yes. If I don't have a rhythm on, and when I push that preset, I want it to activate this panel with no rhythm, I'm going to say yes. The only time you leave it on no is if you want to use that sound with other rhythms. Okay? Now that one's going to get you thinking a little bit, and it's probably going to pose some questions, and that's okay. That's what your personal assistants are for. Sometimes you have to hear it a few times or demonstrate it if you have it demonstrated. But in this case, I want to save strings, whatever I have here, manually or easy button, doesn't matter. And I'm going to say I want to save it with the way the style panel is. Now, right now, there's nothing on here. Okay? But I'm saving it with a style. And then I confirm it. All right, so right now this sound okay. Now watch. I'm going to put on a rhythm. That's on S. What did I say? C1? Yeah, C1. Okay. All right. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put on a rhythm. Let's see about. Let's put on. Here we go. A moon stream. I'll just play a waltz. Okay. Rhythm preset. Now when I push A1, watch what happens. I'm going to get just the sound, but the rhythm's going to shut off. Or C1, here we go. So if you notice, because of the way I saved that preset on C1, I saved it so that when I pressed it, it would turn off the panel because I saved it with the way the style panel was. Okay? Now, before I go back into saving, let me give you an example. I think it was in my Song of the Month featuring the Patriotic medley. So let me pull that up here. Is it on here? Did I pass it? No. Oh, there it is. Patriotic medley. All. Okay, let me put on I forget what numbers. I think it was A1 through 10. Okay, actually, the one preset I did it on was number 1, where I played in the beginning of the song without a rhythm. Okay? Actually, I have the easy button and everything. Now watch what happens when I push 2. It came up with a rhythm and they all have rhythm. Now at any time, if I want to go back to the beginning of that preset, when I push A1, watch what happens. You notice the rhythm stopped. So I saved that preset intentionally that way, so when I go to it, everything will stop and just have the sounds. And actually, I did that preset without fancy pedal work. It was just the easy button. Okay? Now, let me move on to the next part and then open up for some questions. And I'm going to tell you what one of the things I'm going to do next week. Okay? I had a question come in from a student in an email, and I'll refer to it in a minute. So if you have like things you want in the future to be talked about, this month, I'm doing it every Thursday at this time, by the way. Okay? Whether you join me on Zoom or in store. All right. So now I have some presets saved on the organ. Okay? Well, actually, I replaced them because I loaded, but it doesn't matter. We'll pretend I just saved all the presets. Now you have to, if you like what you have on the organ, and quite frankly, if you kind of sort of like it, but you think you're going to go back and change it, I would save it and put it on a USB because you just never know. These are computers. Have you ever had to do a total reset because just the organ wasn't working the way it's supposed to, right? Happens all the time. Just this morning, my brand new iPhone, I have the notifications and I could touch everything, but when I touched the map on there, it wasn't working. Everything else was working, but the map, the suggestion, because I had to go to a student's house, and it suggested to click on it to go in it, and I thought I was going to break it because I was getting angry. Work, work, work. I Actually, I just powered it off and turned it on, and then all of a sudden it was working. Anyway, so saving your work to the USB, and you can always go back and save it in another group on the USB, or you can save it over. And there's the steps. Saving presets to USB, and then we'll do it. Now, by the way, if you have one of the models listed there, that's the page number in the owner's manual that gives you, it's a little bit more detailed. This is what I call a quick, easy, I call it the easy version. The manual has it really detailed, and they have pictures in there, which is good. All right, so save to USB. You have to yes. And some people say, well, that should be obvious. Well, I've had people try to save something in a USB, and the USB is not in the instrument. Now, here's another common question. The organ gives you an option to format, which you can do. Okay? And it can't hurt to do it. When you format it, what it does is it automatically puts on that USB a Lowrey folder, and anything you save automatically goes into that Lowrey folder. If you forget to format it, and you put your USB in, the minute you start saving or loading, the minute you do that and you save something on there, it will automatically put the Lowrey folder on it. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. Hopefully this USB works after all of this, right? Okay, so let me go back to the screen here, give you a chance to write it down. I'll say it and then we'll do it. All right, where's screen share? Where are you? Okay, so you put the USB in, you press USB on the screen, you press Save Presets, and then you scroll to a blank spot on the screen, and then you selected it. And then you can now title, name it, or leave it to the default title that it provides you, and then you press Save. Take a picture of that. If you want a copy of it, email me, and I will reply back with the attachment. Now, let me put on a USB that has stuff on it already. So you know, because after a while, if you do this, you're not going to have blank spaces. So I'm going to press Save Presets. Now, my USB, wait, do I have to put the right one in there? Of course. When in doubt, push reset, right? I hope I didn't accidentally wipe this out. I wonder whose hands those are. I've been wondering that for 4 years now. He had a great manicure. Okay. USB, save presets. Okay. Now in this case here, it's going to take a few extra seconds. So I've got a lot of stuff on this USB. But 8 seconds seems like a minute, doesn't it? Okay, so you see I have a bunch of stuff. So in this case, once you have a USB that has a lot of stuff on it, you know, you have to scroll until you get to a blank spot. Okay? So in this case, I would select 30. Now what I'm going to do is put this USB in. It should have nothing on it. Okay, and I'm just going to select this first slot. And you'll notice that it'll always default to a name. And it's pretty simple. It'll say preset group, and the number that's there will be the same number there. So it's always something there that if you don't want to go through the trouble of titling it. Sometimes I'm on the go, I'm on a store, or I'm saving something, and I don't have time to sit there and title it. I just hit save, and I'll go back and rename it. Now, on you Aria owners, I know you have that little extra advantage of the QWERTY keyboard where you could just type it in. So that comes in handy. That's a little faster. But for the rest of us, you have each letter. Here's one thing I will tell you. This is not a space bar like a typewriter. You know, when you're typing, the space bar advances over. That's not what that is. That is going to do what it says. It's going to put a space in there. So if I use space, it'll create a space. Okay? So in this case here, I actually have my patriotic presets. So we'll pretend I put them all in there and I saved it. So you could just scroll up. You have your upper case, lower case. A lot of times, here's what I'll do. Here's a little trick for you. Make a little note. So I'm on the P, so that works good. Now to get to the R to change it to a letter, I got to push the arrow. Push the arrow. Okay? Now here's a little trick for you. Some people don't do this. So the next letter I want to be the letter A. What most people do is they just use the arrow, scroll up or down until they get to A. I'm impatient, so here's what I'll do. I'm going to hit the space bar, puts a blank space in there, and then if I scroll up, now I'm automatically on the A, and put the lowercase. It's kind of a fast way to get into the beginning of the alphabet. So it just depends on the letter I'm at. I'm going to go to E. I might just scroll backwards to T. Now see here, Patriot, R, I just got to go one. E, I'm close to the I. Same thing here. Patriot, blah, blah, blah. Let's see, go back to T. And then, so it just depends on what letter I'm trying to get to. Here, R, I want a C, so I'm going to hit a space, A, B, C. And then I can do space on the rest of those, which will create blank spaces. Okay? So I have it worded. Sometimes you can abbreviate. Once you have it that way, you hit save. And then they're saved onto the USB. Okay? So, I already taught you how to load the presets. I did that first because I think that was a lot easier for people to do when you have presets. Get in the habit of doing that. Those presets are now on this USB. Okay? Now here's another thing. The presets that I have in here are my patriotic presets that I did for the Song of the Month. Now if I went on here and I did some changes, it could be one simple change, and I resave it, what I would do is go through the same steps, USB, save presets. Oh shoot, I don't know why it keeps doing this. I think it doesn't like that USB. And it's a Lowrey one. Well, it's not really a Lowrey. It's ones they used. Okay, so I'm going to go back to USB, save presets, give it a second. So let's say you have some presets you loaded in and you had them on the USB already, and then you went back and you changed one or two, and you don't want to have a bunch of copies of these, so you want to just keep one. So you go to, in this case, it was the patriotic. You would touch it, and it's going to ask you, do you want to overwrite? Yes or no. So it's like, are you sure you want to do this? All right. And then you can click, yes. And then what will happen is it defaults back to this now title, and then you title it, and then once you hit save, it'll just save like it usually does. Okay? So, any questions? Did I have your brain going crazy, or did I just do a good job, I hope? I did a good job? Sometimes when I do these classes, I think, okay, talk about this, I'll talk about this, and I'll talk about that, and that'll be plenty. And that should only take me about 30 minutes. I didn't get to the third topic. I actually got I got a, let's see if there's any questions in the chat here. Oh, I got some compliments. Yeah, you can keep giving me that. Okay. I lost my train of thought. Oh, anyway, so the third thing that I was going to talk about today, which I'll just do next week, is I think it was Debrilla sent me an email, and she had a couple things. One of them was about the orchestral and the solo section, which sometimes is simple and sometimes is hard. So I'm going to do that as one of the topics next week, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how to sign them here and here, what to know. Sometimes some of us know this because we've had an instrument like this for a while. Sometimes there's a hidden sound somewhere, and they don't know where that's coming from either. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that next week and how to use the screens when you have them and knowing whether. So we'll start off with that. I'll have two other things to talk about, and more than likely I'll run out of time before I get to the third. So anyway, no other questions? No questions?
Robert.
Yes.
Robert.
Yes.
If you make this on a Grand Marquee, you make your USB. Can I then plug it into a Rialto or a Liberty or?
Okay, that's a great question. Let me answer that this way. The answer is yes and no. That's not an answer like people like. Let me explain. Since I'm recording this, you can go back and hear the answer. Okay, what you absolutely can't do is this. You can't, and by the way, for those of you who have an SU series model, functionally the operation is the same. It's all done with floppy disks. So obviously what you can't do is take from one platform to the other and interchange them. Okay? So let me say this a few different ways, and I would jot this down. Okay, so if someone has an SU series, which is the floppy disk, when that came out, that was only on the floppy disk. When the A series came out, I got to be careful how I say that, because when I say A series, Siri thinks I'm talking to her. She keeps coming up. We had to do a conversion program from the floppy disk to the A series models, but it wasn't just about copying and pasting. It had to convert it to that platform. Okay? Stop, Siri. Sorry, my computer thinks I'm talking to her. Oh, where'd everybody go? Okay. Now, when you got to the A technology, that's the Prestige, the Imperial, Symphony, Patriot, Sterling, all those organs with a USB drive. It was great. You can't take from any of those models and go to any of the E, Y, EX USB organs and plug it in there and expect to see that, and vice versa. Okay? So if I have something on here and I go into a Marquee, it won't show up. Now I can take an A platform and I can convert it to work, which you have to have a special program for. Okay? So a lot of times people understand that part. And you can't go backwards either. It has to be in the same language. So a lot of times when I create presets, a lot of you probably know this, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll start it on an A platform like this or Prestige, and I'll do all my work, and then I'll convert it to the E platform, and then if I want some of the other things that the E platform has, then I'll edit it there. Okay? Now, here's the part that's really going to answer your question, and that is a Grand Marquee is a EX, I want to say 5,000 something G or something like that. An Aria is EX 6000. Marquee is EX 5000. Rialto is EY 400A or something like that, and Inspire is just EY 400 because they use the same cabinet. They all start with the letter E. So the obvious thought is, wait a second, if I put something on a Marquee or Grand Marquee, I should be able to put it into Rialto Inspire and use it. And the answer is yes or no. as long as it's using the same thing. So if I put a rhythm, let's say I save a preset on the Marquee and I'm using Cabaret. And then I go to Rialto and I put it in. I believe Rialto actually has that style, so it would pull that up for me. Now, if I go to a Grand Marquee and I put on, I want to say it's Take It Easy, there's a rhythm on there. It's a great rhythm. And you put it on a Rialto, I don't think that rhythm's on there. And so when you load that into that, it'll load the sounds and stuff, and it'll load a rhythm, but it may not be the rhythm you're looking for. It may choose something else that's on there.
And this is the 5.
And what it may do is just put something on there that may not make any sense. So that's where the yes or no comes from. What I would suggest is do it, try it, and if it sounds the same, then great, it works for you. If it doesn't, then you'll know that might be a style that doesn't exist for one or the other. That was a long answer for one question, so hopefully that answered your question.
But it makes sense. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Okay. All right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to finish off with one song today. Is that okay? And then I got something really cool that next week, by the way, don't miss out. I got something cool that I'm going to share with you. But I love this book. I was just picked it out of the blue and said, there's a lot of great songs in here. Let's see. And I'm not saying this because of the name of the song. I just love playing the song. I'm going to use load song presets again. I think it was on this stick here. All right. And what song is it? It's like the third one in here. I may use the music. I don't know if I play it the way the music is. Here we go. All right. Song presets. Hit the Road. I'm not telling you hit the road, guys. I just like the song. I'm done. Hit the road. All right. There's a lot on this USB too. Okay. Hit the Road. I think it's, when I played it earlier, it was coming on D. Let's see here. Yeah, all right. Let's see what happens here. I might have to, it's in a different key than I play it in, so I'm going to play it out by memory. Okay, here we go. Intro. Real quick, I want to show you. Isn't that great? Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey! So, I forget the camera's over here. Let me switch cameras here so I'm in the view. Okay, so I'm going to share something with you. I'll mention this next week, or if you're curious, you can email me. But some of these songs here, I found this, I don't want to say I found, I've always had it. And it was a collection put together by me and some of the other artists. So you'll see all these wonderful songs here. There's like 37 great songs, and I have an easy play book for this. What I'm going to do, probably sometime next week, I just want to make sure all the presets are done properly. There's 37 great songs, and we have 10 arrangements, presets for every one of those songs that we put together. So I'm going to be offering that for anybody to purchase that. But if you want to know more, you can email me or just wait in the future. Keep on the lookout for that. There's some great songs in there, some great arrangements. You heard 2 of them today, okay? So anyway, thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed the class today. Stay safe as always. Keep playing music. And see you next Thursday. I got another great class planned for you. I'll keep learning you. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong camera, or that camera. Stay safe. Keep playing music. Take care, everybody.